this is Vanessa Marshall, Harrison Dula from Star Wars Rebels, and I want to tell you about something very, very special. Saturday, May 4th, please join me for Podathon 2024. That is a day-long charity podcasting event that raises money for the Make-A-Wish Foundation. The day is going to be filled with all kinds of amazing shows, awesome guests, and lots of fun. So please mark your calendars for May 4th. And if you want more information, visit the website www.thepodathon.com. That's right, and you'll learn more about how you can donate directly to the Make-A-Wish Foundation. I can't wait to see you there, and may the 4th be with you.
Definitely need to pack that. What else do I need to have?
Hey, Nick, what's going on, man? What are you doing?
Well, I have some malort.
Okay.
It's important. If you know, I'm traveling, Pete. Next week I'm coming to Jersey. We've got Podathon. I'm coming to hang out with you. We're going to host it together. So I'm trying to get my bag ready. I'm trying to pack some of the things that I have. I've got my blaster because I don't know, TSA.
Good luck getting it on the plane, but
New Jersey, there's some things there. Booze.
Perfect.
Obviously, we've got booze.
Yeah.
We're going to have a good time.
Yep.
I also have essentials, right? Is this not what I'm supposed to do?
No, you should be bringing the essentials, absolutely, but we still have a show to do tonight. I don't know if you recall that. Yeah. So why don't I run the starting video and you can unpack and get ready to do the show. How's that sound?
Let's do it.
All right, this is ATGLive. Well, welcome to ATGLive, your Thursday night home for all things Star Wars. Where else do you need to be on a Thursday night if you want to talk Star Wars? I'll tell you where. Nowhere. Right here. This is the place to hang out. So glad you could join us. As Nick mentioned, Podathon is next week. You're going to notice that no helmets behind me today because we're setting up the studio for the big old Podathon next week. Nick, you're traveling up. I appreciate that. I'm excited to see you, man.
It's so exciting.
Yeah. So next week, assuming Nick's plane is not delayed coming into Jersey, which anything goes, we'll be doing ATGLive live here. And our guest next week is Mr. Kyle Newman from Disturbance of the Force and Fanboys and all that stuff. But
he's got a lot of new projects, things that he's going to talk about. He's got a coffee thing going on. Yeah. He's got the Dungeons and Dragons cookbook going on. If I'm not mistaken, we're getting him on the 2nd, and on the 3rd, the Disturbances in the Force documentary is going to hit streaming in some locations.
Yeah.
So there's a bunch of stuff to talk to Kyle about, and I'm excited he's going to be with us.
And he's such a cool guy, and he's a local guy for me. So it's like the two of us being in Jersey, it's like it was.
He should just come hang out with us.
Let's offer it up. I mean, the studio is being built. We're ready for him. We're ready to go. But we do have another guest tonight. We're really excited. The author or the editor and writer for Stargrl Magazine, Isabella. As Isabella Amidala on Twitter, and I'm so excited to hear her story and talk about what that's all about. But we'll get into that after the news, which is coming up. But Nick, hey, why don't we do just a little bit of housekeeping before we hit the news tonight?
Just a small amount.
A smidgy.
We have, and I like that our people love us so much. Matthew is chiming in. He says, "Are you sick?" I do have a little bit of a sinus allergy thing happening right in this middle, nasal portion of my head. So that really awesome, Southern accent that you're used to is just taken down a couple of notches. So yes, Matthew, thank you for noticing. It's very kind of you. But here's the thing. We're here to hang out and talk to our friends. So we're going to push through it and keep going anyhow. Housekeeping, absolutely. The best thing you can do is go to the sswnetwork.com. When you do that, you're going to be able to find all of our social media handles, places to find us, the YouTube channel. Pete, if I'm not mistaken, I know it was earlier this week or maybe the end of last week, we were 10, count them, 2 hands, 10 subscribers away from 1,000 subscribers on YouTube. We were right at 990.
We're getting really close. Yeah.
If you have not shared us out with somebody else yet, we would love for you to share us with your friends, share us with your people, create a burner account. I really don't care. Like, just hook us up.
Get us over that
get
line.
Us another sub going on. But you can get all that through the sswnetwork.com. You can also learn about our Patreon program when we have long form interviews, which we have been a little lax on lately, but that is mostly attributed to the amount of work we've been putting into Podathon, getting ready for that, which we're going to talk about coming up in the next few minutes. So when we record the versions of the long form podcast, patrons get the access to that early. We have swag that we send out during the year. We're trying to do some meetups, which we're a little bit behind on. That's my fault. I'll take the blame for that. For as little as $3 a month, you can help support the things that we're doing here, and we appreciate you greatly. Those of you that are subscribers, if you want to join, jump in. The water's warm. It's lots of fun. And we also have a voicemail line. If you call 504-321-1501 at any time, 2:00 in the morning, 1:00 in the afternoon, whenever a Star Wars thought hits you that you think, you know what, Nick and Pete need to talk about this. You can call that line, leave that message. Bad Batch is going to wrap up next Wednesday.
Scary.
We have no idea what's coming, but you're going to have thoughts about it. It's almost a guaranteed certainty.
Yes.
Call that line, leave us your message. We'll play them on the show. And, we want to hear from you. And that's a way for you to get involved with the show. So call that line, 504-321-1501. Leave us a message. Tell us all your things.
And I have to say, and I know Matt from Enid is watching tonight, and I know he left us a voicemail, but because of Podathon, we recorded with and had conversations with no less than 7 or 8 Lucasfilm people today. So unfortunately, I didn't get to it, Matt, but I promise you it'll be in next week because I love the story you told. I wish I could play it today. It has something to do with the movie Krull. That's all I'm going to say. Hey, stay close attention.
It was a busy day. So at the sswnetwork.com, one-stop shop, all the things, including the merch. And if you use the code SHILL15, you will get 15% off your first order from the merch store of all the ridiculous things that we make.
Absolutely. That was good, man. You went through that pretty good, pretty quick. I mean, it was good and it was pretty quick. It wasn't pretty good because that just sounds rude. And it is NFL draft night tonight, as Matt pointed out to us. So we're gonna hit the news in a second, but before we do, you're drafting the NFL Jedi team. I know we've spoken to some of our guests, especially a lot of our ESPN friends, talking about Star Wars sporty guys and gals. Can you say guys and gals now? Probably not. I'm probably going to get canceled for that, but that's okay.
With people,
or not aliens. It could be aliens. All right, you get one draft for your football team. I don't care what position you put them in, but you are going to pull him or her or them or they. Who's your first draft pick for the Nick Alabama All-Stars?
This is pretty easy. Captain Rex is my quarterback. He's the signal caller. He's the guy you want on the field, making the plays in the pressure situations. He's the one you want making decisions, thinking about the bigger picture.
All right. I like that one. I'm going to draft Jabba the Hutt for my entire defensive line.
Spread him out. Let him sit there. Yep. As people have heard me say more than too many times, my favorite TV show of all time is The West Wing.
Yep.
And there's an episode of The West Wing where the vice president says, I don't understand hockey. He was like, I would put a sumo wrestler in the goalie box and just let him sit there and eat a sandwich while nobody gets a shot by him. Like, yeah, you're onto something, Pete.
That could be something. I don't know. But we're not talking NFL draft tonight. We're talking about all the Star Wars news of the week, and we have a fantastic guest coming up. So we're going to go to our first break, and when we come back, we're going to bring you all the Star Wars news of the week. This is ATG Live. And we are back. Welcome to ATGLive, your Thursday night home for all things Star Wars. You want to talk Star Wars? You want to talk Star Wars news? Hey, you're in the right spot. We're going to hit the news in just a second, but don't forget to make sure to like, subscribe, share, rate, review, do all that stuff. Head on over to your favorite social media channels. Share this. Tell them, hey, Isabella Kaloyan is coming up right after the news. Tell them you don't want to miss that conversation. We are excited to have her. But first, Nick, let's hit the news.
Well, Pete, more details on the Acolyte emerge in a recent exclusive with Total Film Magazine. Anticipation for the upcoming Star Wars series The Acolyte has reached a new high as cast members and series creator Leslie Headland divulge intriguing details. Fans of the High Republic era are in for a treat as iconic character Vernestra Rose, renowned light whip, will be making its debut in live action.
Nice.
Portrayed by Rebecca Henderson, this rendition of Ro presents a seasoned Jedi Master set a century beyond her previous appearances, yet still wielding her distinctive weapon. Headland, drawing inspiration from George Lucas and the original trilogy, promises a tapestry rich with nods to various corners of the Star Wars universe, including something we're going to talk about coming up, the EU. The series is poised as a mystery akin to Headland's previous work on Russian Doll, promising a narrative full of twists and revelations with themes of deception and unexpected turns. The Acolyte is shaping up to be yet another take on the galaxy far, far away. There's nothing in any of that was written up that sounds bad. There's deception, there's intrigue, there's mystery. This is all good news. And a light whip? Give it to me. The closest thing I think we've seen to a light whip was in Last Jedi when, not Last Jedi, Last Jedi, when they're on the ship and Rey and Kylo are fighting the red troopers and they have kind of the charge energy weapon things. I don't know what a light whip is because you and I have not really read the High Republic.
I know.
But it's exciting and there's a lot of people excited about it, and to see that coming into live action. So Pete, the build up to Acolyte is real.
Yep.
Where are you right now in your excitement and anticipation of what's coming?
It's interesting, and I think we're going to talk to Isabella a little bit about this as well. There's been the negative noise is making some noise, and I'm hating that. But everything I'm reading, and look, sometimes I'm a bit of a pessimist, and I do come from a communications and public relations background. So to me, it is not a surprise that a lot of the conversation has been about the connections to the quote unquote classic Star Wars, the Star Wars that people who have the loudest mouths are most excited about, meaning the prequels. And originally, to hear Leslie mention George's original vision, I don't think that's an accident. I don't think that's just a casual nod. But to your point, I'm excited. I'm excited to see it. It's Holly was saying today, our friend Holly Fry was saying today that, she loves Andor because it's so different, because it feels so different. I think the more I love that if this goes like Russian Doll and they leave us hanging every week and set up that next step into a deeper and deeper puzzle, man, this is going to be fun in the Star Wars universe, man. I'll take that in a heartbeat. So I'm really excited about it, for one.
I agree with you. And I think that that's something that Star Wars continues to do. And I heard it on somebody else's show earlier this week. I can't remember who it is, so I apologize. But Star Wars is literally the biggest canvas. You can paint in a mystery corner, in a comedy corner, in a kids corner, in a, Amblin adventure. We've got Skeleton Crew coming up, kind of everything is out there.
Yep.
And what a better prime era than the downfall of the Jedi leading into Phantom Menace 100 years before. And how did they get blinded? And how did they not see this coming?
Yep.
Then with a mystery series set in that time frame that already so many people love. So to me, it's nothing but wins.
For sure. I'm looking forward to it. So, All right, let's hit our next story. The expanded universe has been decanonized for a decade at this point, as Star Wars fans reflect on the 10th anniversary of Lucasfilm's pivotal announcement on April 25th, 2014, 10 years ago today, marking a significant shift in the franchise's lore. Reflections on the rebranding of the expanded universe as Legends are all over the place. This transformative decision, made in anticipation of that sequel trilogy that everybody is a huge fan of. I say that with sort of a tongue in cheek, but I loved it. A lot of people loved it. Delineated a clear distinction between established canon and supplementary material. While past tales were relegated to the Star Wars Legends banner, the new continuity centered solely on the original 6 films, Star Wars The Clone Wars, and some subsequent creations. Despite this divergence, the expanded universe remains a cherished repository of lore, offering a wellspring of inspiration for future Star Wars endeavors. And while not all fans have been delighted by the decision, stalwart entities like the video game Star Wars The Old Republic and select short stories continue to honor the legacy of Legends. With its rich tapestry spanning millennia, the expanded universe endures as a testament to the enduring allure of boundless creativity of the Star Wars universe. Nick, how did you respond when you heard that the EU was being sort of relegated to this Legends status?
I will be honest, I had a brief moment of dissatisfaction because the EU for me was that Star Wars that I had in between Return of the Jedi and the Phantom Menace. Like,
Yep.
as a kid who grew up in the 80s and 90s, like, I read the Thrawn trilogy, I read the Truce at Bakura, I read the New Jedi Academy trilogy. Like, those books were crucial to my ability to keep engaging with Star Wars.
Yep.
So when I heard, yeah, those don't count anymore, like, there was a moment where I was like, I don't like that. But pretty quickly, the two things, and I wish I could go back and remember who it was that I saw that originally said this. One of the things that spoke to me early on that made it okay was somebody talked about the idea of storytelling. And when Star Wars was sold to Disney, who besides Lucasfilm is really good at telling stories? And it's been Disney. And it's been Disney for, since Snow White, which was the first, animated feature film, God knows, how many years ago, all the way up through all the things I grew up on, Robin Hood, Sword in the Stone, like all of these things. So at some point, somebody had the wisdom to say, if you want Star Wars in the hand of somebody, you want it in the hands of Disney because they understand story. And that settled with me. And somebody else said the thing about, we'll think about a U as like stories that were told around the campfire in, Paul Bunyan, Tall Tales, like, and all of a sudden I went, okay, that works for me.
Yeah.
And then I also recognized, like, yes, you can pick from good stories and go, I want to use Thrawn. I want to use this
that's the
character.
funny thing to me. Like, and I'm with you because I loved the Thrawn stuff. I loved the comic book. Was it Dark Empire and I loved all that. Heir to the Empire. I loved all that stuff. And we're getting it. Like, people need to just chill out because there was no way that they were going to be able to take all of that stuff because even the authors themselves were all on different pages. So there was no way to keep that connectivity. And without a Pablo Hidalgo and the story team, there's just no way to keep it all together. That said, we're starting to get some of the key pieces, and it's in a little bit of different time frame and it's different characterizations to a degree, but all the stories are coming back. It takes patience. People who didn't love Luke Skywalker in The Last Jedi forget that, yes, he took on an entire wall of walkers himself, and yes, it was a forced projection of him, but it was everything we really wanted, and it was all there. So I mean, I'm excited to see where we're headed.
And to borrow a phrase from our friend Ryan Johnson at The Last Jedi, looking at that, this isn't going to go the way you think. Like, you can pull from those stories. It's just because I grew up with it doesn't mean that's how Star Wars has to be.
Absolutely, Smurfly. That's good.
So,
all right.
Outstanding. Well, on our next story, here we go. Our banner. May the 4th. May the 4th is coming up, is just around the corner. Star Wars Day this year falls on a Saturday, which is exciting. Perfect. Fans are gearing up for an epic weekend filled with galactic excitement. A plethora of events and releases are lined up. We are in for quite the May the 4th. The highly anticipated series finale of The Bad Batch is going to kick off the festivities on May the 1st, setting the stage for a thrilling conclusion that I don't think any of us are ready for this series. Also, theaters are buzzing not only with the return of The Phantom Menace to the big screen, celebrating its 25th anniversary, which is also going to include some teaser footage of The Acolyte, as we talked about previously. Also, if you're seeking the marathon experience, if you want to figure out how much not time you can spend going to the bathroom in, 17 or 18 hours, there's a Skywalker Saga movie marathon taking place at a select few theaters around the country, immersing audiences in the epic journey of the Skywalker family. Also, and we're going to talk about this in just a minute, you can also support the Podathon, benefiting the Make-A-Wish Foundation. And on the small screen at Disney Plus, we have Tales of the Empire shorts coming out with new glimpses of the Star Wars universe that is continually unfolding in front of us. Also, Star Wars Celebration Japan tickets go on sale. I will not be attending that. I hate to say that. I wish I was. But there's so much going on, and that doesn't even get into, Pete, the sales, the deals. I've seen more things just in my Facebook feed and AI and, the algorithm and whatever, like somebody selling like Darth Vader, like aioli truffle oil, like cooking something is in a black bottle with a plastic Darth Vader. Like things are coming because May the 4th is around the corner.
Yeah.
So with everything on deck, and we're going to take Podathon off the table because obviously we have a personal connection to that. What else are you excited about for May the 4th?
I'll tell you what, May the 4th it always felt like it was like on a Wednesday or something. And so I had to be distracted from whatever I was doing to kind of engage. But being on a weekend is amazing. And I love that. But most importantly, and this is, I think, kind of an illustration of what Star Wars is all about. You and I became friends through Star Wars, through the interwebs. We built this little network together. We do this show every week together. We've only met in person a couple times at one event at Star Wars Celebration.
One
time at Celebration. And you're coming up to New Jersey to be a part of Podathon Live, so we can do it here. So the thing I'm looking forward to the most, honestly, other than Podathon, take that out the window, is going to see the Phantom Menace with you on that Friday beforehand, seeing it back in the theaters again. It's funny, I didn't think about it, but I haven't seen it in the theaters in 25 years. And I was talking to Jack this morning when I was taking him to school, and my 11-year-old son, and I said, "Do you want to see the Phantom Menace?" He goes, "That's the old one." I was like, "Oh my god, that's not the old one.
I'm the old one."
Yeah. So I'm excited to go see that. You and I were just texting, I think yesterday or today or some moment in time, about how I'm almost looking forward to it, like seeing a new movie. Like the excitement level for me right now to go see Phantom Menace. And again, if you told me this 25 years ago when I walked out of the theater and had that honest reaction that a lot of fans had, I would say no. I would never be lining up and buying my tickets 2 months in advance to go see this movie again in the theaters. But here we are, and not only did I do it, I can't wait to do it, and I'm excited to do it with you because Star Wars brings people together, and that's really what it's 100%.
So really, the moral of this story is Star Wars truly is the friends that we found along the way.
Absolutely.
But my wife coined the term weird space friends, and here we are, all these years later doing the things that we're doing and getting to spend that time. And I tweeted about this the other day. We texted about it back and forth. Like in the last little bit in the hype in the run up to Phantom Menace, I'm like, I should watch that.
Yeah.
And every time I start to think that, I stop myself and go, no, I'm about to go see it in the theater. Just wait, just hold on.
Yeah.
And it's the excitement of like, it's almost like I've never seen it before. So incredibly exciting.
Hold your answer to this question, because we'll ask Isabella as well. Think about what you're most excited to see on the big screen again, because I know mine, and it's really simple, but I can't wait to hear what you think and what Isabella thinks.
Awesome.
But speaking of weird space friends and the friends we made along the way, let's talk a little bit about Podathon 24. First of all, I want to just send a quick thanks out to all the Star Wars websites, all the Star Wars news sites that have picked up the story and have been running with it and telling people about it. It's going to be epic this year. So in a galaxy built on hope, Podathon 2024 emerges as a beacon of the best that the fandom has to offer on Saturday, May the 4th from 9 a.m. Eastern until 10 p.m. Eastern. Star Wars fans unite for the 4th annual live stream marathon dedicated to granting wishes through Make-A-Wish. Since its beginnings in 2020, Podathon has raised over $27,000 thanks to the unwavering support of the Star Wars community. Joined by more than 20 Star Wars celebrities, a dozen content creators, and supported by the generous prize partners, Podathon offers fans a chance to make a difference. And for every $10 donated, participants earn entries for a raffle featuring prizes from esteemed partners like Regal Robot, Lucasfilm, De Novo, and many, many more. Conceived during the pandemic in 2020, Podathon has become a flagship event for the fandom, showcasing the light side of the Force. All right, Nick, we have a million things going on. We have 3 minutes to talk about it. Let's try to run through some of what's coming up. We have I'll let you start with the guests if you can remember them.
Oh my gosh, most of them. And now I can remember a lot of them, and now I'm just in that in between of like, is there anybody still that I'm not allowed to talk about?
No, I think everything other than
I think everything's
yeah,
the one. Hopefully, I don't say the one, but Billy D. Williams, William December Williams himself, Lando Calrissian is going to be a part of Podathon.
He'll be with Father
Our
Son
good
Galaxy.
Friend,
yep,
that's right. Our good friend Paul Sun-Young Lee is going to be with, and I love this. Our friends from ESPN, who host the official ESPN Star Wars podcast, Never Tell Me the Odds. Arda Ocal, Clinton Yates, and Ryan McGee are going to spend some time talking to Paul Sun-Young Lee, which we love. We're going to get to catch back up with our friend Greg Grunberg, Snap Wexley himself.
Some people call him Snack Wexley, I'll bet. I'm sure.
Snack Wexley. I mean, if you're hungry, that's what you do. We've got High Republic authors. We've got
the High Republic authors.
Too many people.
Yeah, so we have the High Republic authors, a whole panel, including Michael Siglain, who's the head of Lucasfilm Publishing, talking to Tarkin's Top Shelf. We have Pablo Hidalgo, the head of the Star Wars story group, talking to Holly Fry from Full of Sith. We have Matt Martin talking to Brian from Full of Sith. We have who else? Oh, we have Amy Allen talking to our good friends at Thank the Maker. So whether you love Star Wars or you love the band Bayside, Yellow Card, or Story of the Year, those guys run this podcast. It's like the ESPN podcast, except for 90s music
rock
nerds.
Stars.
Yeah. They have Amy Allen. What else do we have? Oh, you and I, this is the first time we're saying it because I haven't put it on the poster and I haven't put it out there, but you and I are going to be speaking to Hal Hickel and Rob Coleman, discussing the impact of the Phantom Menace from a special effects perspective. Nick, I have to tell you, and I think you know this from the very first Podathon in 2020, this is a combination of people I've been dying to talk to. So that's going to be amazing. I know I'm forgetting somebody and I feel really bad about
there's a ton.
Stephen Stanton is going to be with us.
Stephen Stanton.
It's huge. Is huge.
What about prizes and donations? Let's do that before.
Go ahead. But do you know them off the top of your head?
We've got gifts and prizes donated from De Novo. We have stuff from Regal Robot. We have our friends Brian and Holly Fry donated like a Sabex set from the Galactic Star Cruiser.
Can't get it anymore.
Will Alexander at 2797 Studios. We have books. We have signed pictures. Actually, I have them right here. These are going to also be given away. We have signed pictures from Vanessa Marshall, Harrison Dula herself.
Amazing.
She sent these to us. Oh, this way. We have 3 of those to give away. So for every $10 you donate directly to the Make-A-Wish Foundation through our link, we're going to get you qualified for entries into. So if you donate $20, that's 2 entries. If you do it between now and May the 3rd, we're doubling that.
Right.
If you do it on the day of, it'll be single entry. So we want you to donate now. We have tons and tons of prizes, tons and tons of giveaways, lots of partners who are helping us out to reward everybody for spending this time raising money for Make-A-Wish. And that's really what it's all about.
Absolutely. Could not be more excited than I am right now about Podathon. It's going to be big. It's going to be great. So make sure to join us on May the 4th. And again, if you can't join us because you're doing some Star Wars party somewhere, that's great. But donate today. And if you donate today at thepodathon.com, make sure to hit that. We will double your entries beforehand. So, well, we are going to take a quick break. And when we come back, we are going to come back with the publisher of Stargrl Magazine. You know her online as Isabella Amidala, but we will be right back with more ATG Live. Well, welcome back to ATG Live, your Thursday night home for all things Star Wars. Thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight. Make sure to subscribe if you're watching us on YouTube. If you're watching us on Twitter, share us with some of your friends. We'd love to have you join us. But as Vader would tell us, I'm going to dispense with the pleasantries, and I'm going to just go and bring in our guest. We are joined by Isabella Amidala. How are you doing?
Hi, I'm doing great. How are you?
Good. I'm so glad to meet you. I know, and look, this is a little bit behind the scenes. It took me, I screwed up the date trying to talk to you like 3 times in a row.
It's totally
But
okay.
I'm so glad you're here. You're traveling, you're headed to a con, right?
Yeah, so I'm actually in Chicago right now for C2E2. So it starts tomorrow.
Oh my gosh, wow.
So I'm glad we were able to schedule this and make it work. And I'm very excited to be here. So thank you for having me.
We're really excited to have you with us. So maybe for the folks who don't know you, maybe give us a little bit of who you are.
Yeah, so my name is Isabella Kaloyan. Online, you probably know me as Isabella Amidala. I'm a huge Star Wars fan, particularly the prequels, and I love expressing my fandom through fashion. So I do a lot of like cosplay, Disney bounds. I have a dressing like series where I wear like kind of like Earth clothes, if you will, normal clothes inspired by different characters. My husband is an artist, so that's why I'm at a convention. He sells his art at different shows like San Diego Comic-Con, WonderCon, C2E2, stuff like that. And we also have a podcast called Punch It Chewy Podcast. Nice. So yeah, we do a little bit of everything. We're on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, X. But all things Star Wars.
That's awesome. So tell us a little bit about your Star Wars journey. Where did you discover it? How did it become part of your life?
Yeah, so I was born in 1997. So I always like to call myself a prequels baby. So I really grew up in that era. I have an older brother that's 6 years older than me. So I wasn't quite the right age. But he was like the perfect age when the Phantom Menace came out. He was 8 years old. So he was really into it. All of my cousins were into it, the kids on the neighborhood. I remember like growing up, we would play with like toy lightsabers and Nerf guns, right? And we would like reenact scenes and stuff. But I was just like a little bit too young when the movies were in the theater to kind of understand them.
Sure.
So it wasn't until I started dating my husband, we were dating in high school, and this was when The Force Awakens was announced. So he had been a diehard fan his entire life. His fandom never really waned. But as you guys know, going into that next trilogy, everything was Star Wars. It was everywhere. You couldn't like miss it. So we were like, okay, it's been a while. Let's sit down. Let's watch everything again. Let's watch all the movies. Let's rewatch the Clone Wars. Let's watch Rebels. And from then on, as you know, I could really sit down and understand these bigger themes that, you know, when you're young, it's just, oh, pew, pew, and the lightsabers are cool. And, you know, that's kind of the extent of it when you're young. But when you get older, you're like, oh, wow, like this is real life. Like this is, you know, more serious and more meaningful, I think now. I have more of an appreciation for it. So yeah, that happened. So that was 2014. And I went to my first Comic-Con. So I went to San Diego Comic-Con, which is the biggest one. So it's kind of a crazy one to be your first show. So I just dove headfirst into that community. I was like immediately obsessed with cosplay. I was like, this is so cool. It's like Halloween every day. Like you don't have to wait. And yeah, I just immediately threw myself into that. We started Disney pin trading. So we would go to Disneyland and we would collect Star Wars pins. So that's how we kind of got into the community. We made a page online called Star Wars Pins for Days. That eventually became Punch It Chewy Press. And at first we were just collecting pins, but then we saw other people starting to make their own pins. So turning their own art into enamel pins that they would trade with other people. And I started like elbowing my husband. I was like, why don't you do this? Like, your art is so cool. Like, you're such a huge fan. Like, why don't we just make a pin and like see what happens? And now that was almost that was almost 10 years ago. So it's
Wow.
been a long journey, but it's been so much fun, and I just love it.
That's so fantastic. Tell us about, because you talked about your husband, you talked about the pins, the podcast, all that kind of stuff, but you also have Stargrl Magazine. Tell us about
Yes.
what that is, what kind of pushed you to start it. Give us kind of the background on that whole thing.
Yeah, so I decided to start Stargrl Magazine in December of last year, but I was not planning on launching it for a while, right? So I had this idea. I was like, I want to create a safe space for fans, for all kinds of fans, right? Not this one stereotyped fan, right?
Sure.
A lot of women don't feel very welcome or safe in this community often.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people in the LGBTQ community. So I wanted to create a space because I kind of had like my little corner on TikTok or like our little corner on Instagram. But I didn't feel like people were able to really speak their mind in a safe space without getting like kind of jumped, which unfortunately is kind of just how the internet can be. And people do what they do. But I was like, I want to create something positive and uplifting and do this collaborative effort. And so I was like, okay, it's going to take a while to get this up and running. We have all this other stuff going on. I had this idea in December. I was like, maybe by the summertime we will release it. And then my Instagram account was targeted with like 5 or 6 other women in the Star Wars community. Their accounts were targeted and removed, not illegally, but like spam reported.
Right.
Accounts were deleted. So that happened to me. So my account was deleted, and I thought it was going to be permanently. All the information I received from Meta said it was a permanent decision. I couldn't contest it. I couldn't do anything. It was just gone. And I had a friend, luckily, not luckily that this happened to him, but he kind of had gone through this. So he's like, okay, well, you can, do this, this, and this, see if that works. So for like 3 or 4 days, I'm just going back and forth with him, trying to figure out what we can do. And we finally found out that my account was reported as me impersonating someone. So it was as simple as me sending in my ID and saying, this is myself, this is me. I don't know why my account was taken down, and I got my account back. So that was kind of crazy. So I was obviously planning on using my platforms to do the launch of the magazine, right? So when my account was taken down, it really was that push of, okay, I'm not like, there is something to what I'm saying. There's a lot of people that don't want certain people in this community to spread their light or talk about what they love, because if you don't agree with them, then they don't want to hear anything you have to say.
Right.
So I decided, okay, you know what? It's now or never. Like, you tell me I can't do something, I'm just going to want to do it twice as much. So I launched the magazine. In our first issue was in March. And it completely like blew me away, the support from the community. We were able to collaborate with some amazing content creators, writers, photographers, a bunch of different people in the community were just so excited. They said, I wish I had something like this growing up. We had Tiger Beat, and we had, Entertainment Weekly and stuff like that. But there were only a few nerdy magazines, and none of them were, specifically for women or more towards
like a Starlog and that sort of thing. That was very like, because that's what I would read. And it is interesting how they're sort of how those magazines don't, by not being specific, they become incredibly specific for certain types of audiences.
So I was like, you know what, let's just do it. Like, what's the worst that could happen? And the response has been amazing. And recent studies, I believe, say that the Star Wars fandom is about 40% women. So we do make up a big chunk of the fandom. And it's just been such a special treat. We've gotten to work with Jen Marie, Anakin and his angel. Our current cover girl is Carly King. And we haven't released the next cover girl yet, but we're doing a very special edition to celebrate both Star Wars and Mother's Day. and that will be out
Wow.
on May 10th.
Very cool. And how often does the magazine come out? Is it quarterly? Is it
It's monthly.
monthly? Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
That's a lot of work. That's great.
Yeah.
But I remember when you were targeted, and a handful of other groups, women were targeted online. I love that instead of either backing down or even just sort of going on the attack, you kind of use this as fuel, not ammunition, but fuel to
Yeah.
create something stronger and better. And you said you had the idea beforehand, but was how is the content created to ensure that the people that it's inclusive to everybody?
Yeah, so we have a small team of writers, and we're always brainstorming, thinking, who could we include in the next issue? How can we diversify the audience for our audience? Having different voices and having different people come on. And of course, we still have men included in the magazine. I want to make that clear that this is not only for girls. I think that defeats the purpose of what we're trying to do, right? We want everyone to feel welcome. So yeah, we're definitely we're kind of making it up as we go. We're learning along the way. We're a small team, but we're very passionate about what we're doing. And our audience really has our back. So that's honestly the most important part, is really community. And it's incredible what you can do when you come together.
That's really cool. So let's talk for a second. As long as we're talking about and touching on some of the, I'm not going to take the deep dive into the deep end of the toxicity side of the world.
Yeah.
We've done that before, and that's just not that fun. But there's a lot of buzz about ATGLive. Let's talk about that for a second. And a lot of that buzz has been featuring the diversity of the cast.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, there's that dark corner of the internet, the same group that went after you, that didn't that they're not responding really well. I'm using politically correct terms, but how does that impact your excitement at all about the show? And also, from a slightly different perspective, do you think it's going to impact the show more broadly? And I'll tell you why I asked the question, because I like, obviously I'm sure you're still excited about it, but interesting. I was driving my son to school a couple days ago, and we talked about Andor.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's 11. He watches, some Star Wars stuff on shorts and things. It's so difficult to make sure he's not watching things he shouldn't be. But he said, "Oh, Andor, that was really boring." I was like, "Yeah, but you didn't even watch it." He goes, "Yeah, but that's what they say online." So that piece of the audience, that piece of the internet is infiltrating these areas. So I'd love your thoughts on what this, because it's no longer just the ATGLive, right? It started with Kenobi, or kicked in with Kenobi, with Reba, and all that. How does it impact you, and what do you think you can, how's that going to affect the audience?
So for me personally, growing up as a prequels kid, first of all, it was not cool to like Star Wars, but to like the prequels was just a double whammy, right? So I'm kind of used to people, just whatever, right? I'm kind of used to that. So I don't really let people's opinions of things change my opinion or affect my excitement for something. Like with the Kenobi series, that was something that really got me through COVID, got me through the pandemic, and was something to look forward to. It was something that I was talking to the community about every single day. The prequels were my favorite. So to see Hayden and Ewan return for something that I never thought they would return, even for a conversation, right? The way that they were treated, and just, kind of the atmosphere. We're very blessed that they came back and that they've been so receptive and willing. So I think the discussion there is just frustrating. Obviously, I think if you like a story that's so diverse, right? We've got thousands of planets, hundreds of different species of aliens, of droids, humans, whatever it is. I think it's pretty ridiculous to get upset to see a diverse cast now. I think it just adds to how vast the galaxy is. And I think people also need to just calm down and wait until the show comes out. I think you can give your opinions after the show comes out about casting and about the acting and the dialogue and whatnot. But if you watch the 30-second trailer of The Acolyte and you got upset about an alien's eyes, you just need to take a breather. It's supposed to be fun. It's supposed to be silly. Not every single thing has to be perfect. And I think if you're watching this, if you're part of the Star Wars fandom, I think it's important to remember to have fun.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people get caught up in the nitty-gritty, and I can appreciate that, right? I love that we've got 25,000 years on this timeline. We've essentially got 2 timelines now with canon and the EU. I think it's awesome if you know which company manufactured this gun for what war and like blah blah blah. That's cool, but if it takes away from your excitement, or if you're fighting with people online about it, I think you need to take a step back and just kind of,
Right.
reprioritize what's important and, focus on the things that you like.
Yep.
100%. Well, and speaking of fun, and speaking of focusing on things that you like, you have said several times in this interview, it's clear from your presence online, you are a prequels kid. The Phantom Menace is 25 years old. This year, we know that we've got the re-release in the theaters coming up next weekend.
Yeah.
What does that mean to you? Tell me about, just the excitement, the feelings, all the things for you with Phantom Menace coming back out like this.
Yeah. So I'm super excited because, like I was saying earlier, I was 2 years old when this movie came out. So I don't remember going to the theater for this. So I got to go last year to see Return of the Jedi in theater when they re-released it.
Yep.
That was really special. That's my favorite original trilogy movie. And my favorite scene is Anakin's redemption. When Anakin, Vader finally takes off his mask. He's now Anakin and he has his final moments with Luke. I was sobbing in the theater. Like, it was so emotional seeing it on the big screen with the music. And just it's a completely different experience, I think, seeing it in theater. So I'm really excited to see the Phantom Menace in theater. I can't wait to see the duel between Obi-Wan, Qui-Gon, and Maul. I know the music is going to be incredible. I'm excited for the pod race. I think that's one of the coolest sequences in all of Star Wars.
Yeah,
so I can't wait to see that on the big screen. Of course, Queen Amidala. There's just so much to be excited about. So I will definitely have my popcorn bucket and t-shirt and foam finger. Like, I'll be.
Well, I don't know if you caught it in our news section, but I said I was going to ask you and I was going to ask Nick as well. And I'll give my answer. What is one scene, like one second, not even like a full scene, like what is one moment that you are just excited to be seeing again on the big screen? Or if maybe for the first time, have you ever seen it on the big screen?
I have not.
Oh, wow. Okay. So what are you excited to see? One moment to see on that big screen?
I think the pod race.
Yeah.
I think that's what I'm most excited for. Just seeing Anakin and Sebulba going at it.
That's a good one.
Yep. Yeah, that's actually the moment I again talking to my son this morning about going to see it. And I was like, I can't wait, because when I saw it in the theaters, here now I'm sound like the old guy talking to the young kid. And but when I saw it in the theaters, I saw it at the New York City premiere, and and people like didn't know how to react to it. And in fact, myself, it took me many years to become, I think Ken Knapsack calls it a prequel, reformed prequelist. And and I've become, such a huge fan of that story. But the thing that I will never forget, and I can't wait to experience again, is Sebulba's pod race. And I was making my son laugh this morning because I was like, I can't wait to hear it go, just like that giant noise. It just needs to be. It can't be loud enough when you're watching on TV. It just needs to rock your seat. So that's my moment. What about you, Nick? What are you waiting for?
I mean, there's two easy answers. The first one is similar to yours. It's simply like all the different noises, like Ben Burtt, the sound team from Skywalker Sound, whether it's the pod racers, whether it's Queen Amidala's ship. Like, you get the switch flip, you get the little noises, the graphics, the engines coming back to life.
Yeah,
something about that just has always appealed to me. The other one that I love is simply that note drop of when the battle starts between Obi-Wan, Qui-Gon, and Maul. and the choir kicks in.
Oh,
and
yeah.
you get that. I mean, this was such a big deal. I was in college. I was halfway through college when this movie came out. But the Phantom Menace, that theme, spent 11 weeks on Total Request Live on MTV. I mean, 11 days on Total Request Live on MTV. Like, it's a theme from a Star Wars movie when you're competing against like Green Day and No Doubt and whoever else is out there. The top 10 songs for that day voted on by the viewers at MTV. Like, that was a huge thing. So I love, the music, that music cue when that drops. Like, that's right up there with, Binary Suns, which has always been my favorite, with Luke standing on the ridge and those notes come in. It just, it's the perfect marriage of visuals and music and just magic, movie magic.
Definitely. And even hearing Darth Maul's double ignition of his saber, I think that's going to be really cool too.
So good.
That's great. So let me just ask you one more question before we let you go. First of all, thank you for taking the time. I know, geez, if you have C2E2 tomorrow and you're cosplayers and you're selling stuff, I'm sure you're like, I got to get off this call. But we really appreciate the time. And I'm so excited that you launched Stargirl when you did. I think it's a great, it's really great to be, as I said, fueled by that situation rather than, angered by it, which is great.
Yeah. But thank you.
So I guess my last question for you is, May the 4th is next weekend. What are your plans? Do you have special Star Wars plans for May the 4th?
Ooh, so I did a special collab with a few of my friends, other cosplayers and content creators. So we went to the LA Arboretum and we did like a Star Wars high glam photo shoot together.
Yeah, cool.
So we're going to release that on May the 4th. So I'm really excited about that. And we're also going to go watch The Phantom Menace at night. Nice. So we're excited for that. It is also comic book day. So we will probably go to our local comic shop. My husband, that's the biggest part of his collection is comics. Cool. So that's definitely on the list. And then I think we're releasing some new pins on Punch It Chewy Press. So you can find that at punchitchewypress.com on May the 4th.
Excellent. Well, that's great. Well, tell us all the places we can find you and where we can find the magazine and where we can follow you online.
Yeah, so my personal accounts are Isabella.Amidala. So that's on Instagram, TikTok, and Twitter or X. I'm also on YouTube. And then my podcast, Punch It Chewy Podcast, is on YouTube, on Twitter, and we're on like Spotify, anywhere you can listen to podcasts. And then all of our pins and my other fandom stuff I do with my husband is Punch It Chewy Press.
That is fantastic. Well, Isabella, thank you so much for spending some time with us. Love hearing your story. And we hope to talk to you again next time. Maybe one day you'll be so big that you'll be like, this magazine's taking up too much of my time. I can't.
No, it was so much fun. Thank you for having me. I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you so much. And we will be back with more ATG Live.
Where will you be when the Toronto Maple Leafs next win the Stanley Cup?
Why are you doing this to me? Fun fact, Dave Filoni is a huge hockey fan too. He
Penguins,
loves hockey.
right?
Yeah. He's a homer. He loves the Penguins. In fact, I texted him last night after the Penguins got eliminated, say, hey, look, I'm sorry.
I'm sure there was a lot of emojis in return.
Yeah. Well, hey, he sent me. So here's the thing. He sent me a shirt. It's the Maple Leaf logo, and it says in the middle, "Just once before I die."
Oh my, come on!
So he sent that to me.
Come on.
So I just thought it would be fair if I just sent him a a commiseration text saying, "Oh, I'm so sorry your team didn't make the playoffs this year."
So sweet.
Hey everybody, this is Paul Sun-Hyung Lee from The Mandalorian, Book of Boba Fett, and Ahsoka. And I want to invite you to join me on May the 4th for the Podathon 2024, raising money for Make-A-Wish. You can give a new hope to kids who need it the most. May the 4th be wish you.
Just a sneak peek. Yes.
Every time Paul Sun-Hyung Lee pops up on something that we do, or anywhere, not even something we do, every time he pops up, I just get a big dumb grin on my face because he's so nice. He is one of us working in Star Wars and Avatar and Kim's Convenience and all these. He's so nice. And it's just, it makes me so excited to go, hey, that's one of our people out doing all the fun things. So I'm excited for everybody to hear the rest of that conversation with our friends from ESPN.
And if you think you've heard every pinch me moment from Paul, he's got a couple in that that interview more that you have not heard, and it's fantastic. So so make sure to join us for Podathon next a week from Saturday. You can donate today at bit.ly bit.ly.com. No, I'm just screwing the whole thing up.
You're almost there.
Let's do it this way.
Bit.ly/
Wait, that's not even on there either.
Whatever.
Yeah. Anyway, bit.ly/
Podathon.com.
No, that's not it. Yeah, just go to the podathon.com. It's easier if there's a big giant button that says donate. It's a lot easier than listening to me try to figure it out. Well, as I said earlier in the show, unfortunately, we weren't able to get through our voicemails this week, but we will get to them. And I expect one from Eric. I was surprised we didn't get one from Eric because there was a Zillow beast.
Major Zillow.
In Bad Batch this week. Where were you, Eric? If you're listening, I want a voicemail from you, Eric. 504-321-1501, especially if we get a Zillow Ray in the finale next week. I definitely got to hear from you. So, and we will have a tale from Enid next week for sure, maybe two because we missed this week. But Nick, what went on in the chat tonight?
I've got a couple of things that I've starred. We have one from our friend Eleazar Rodriguez. Says, while YouTube grifters are grumpy making hate videos, you guys are spreading love. Much respect. Same to you.
Thank you, my friend.
Tuning in.
Love
Absolutely.
Thank you so much.
We have one from Benny Relp. He says, Nick, make sure you try some Taylor ham while you're in New Jersey. And I believe Brian had a response to him coming back at that. We'll let them deal with that as they need to. Another one from Eleazar. The Acolyte is going to be awesome. Anybody else who complains can take a seat and wait for the next thing. If not, they can leave. And this has been my position for many, many years. If you don't like it, why are you still here?
And honestly, and that's one of the really cool things. I mean, you and I it's weird because we agree on way too much, but Resistance we didn't love it. And that's okay. I did not make it my online personality to talk about how much I didn't like this or didn't like. It just doesn't make sense. And honestly, I've used this example before, and this will probably get me some hate from the Matrix fans. The first Matrix movie to me is a masterpiece, one of the best movies in the sci-fi realm ever. But number 2, 3, and even 4 are to me unwatchable. However, people who are Matrix fans, and I see it every now and then. Like I just saw the other day, somebody was commenting, Matrix 2 doesn't get the love it deserves. I could have said it gets too much love by getting none, but I decided not to.
Instead, you just let it go.
I was like, oh, that's cool. And you know what? Honestly, I'm happy you live. So when the Acolyte hits, if you watch an episode or 2 or 3 and you don't like it, and as Isabella pointed out, if you don't like the acting because of the acting, that's okay. And let's have that conversation. You guys know I have real issues with Rise of Skywalker that one day I will share publicly. But they're not because they're based on critiques. They're based on reason. They're not based on diversity hires or whatever is thrown about by the YouTubers. So yes, if you don't like the Acolyte, that's a lot of people aren't going to like it because of the time frame alone, I think. So we'll see.
100%. Two more. We have Galactic Factotum, first-time viewer and subscriber. Welcome.
Nice. Welcome.
This all seems like the perfect place for me when it comes to Star Wars, and I'm happy to be aboard. Also, always lovely to see Bestie talk about Stargirl. So this is a friend of Isabella's for sure. And then they had one more comment when we talked about what do you want to see in the Phantom Menace. Said specifically, I can't wait to hear when Anakin fixes his pod mid-race and that close-up of his engine with the loud blast. And as I read that comment, as I started on screen, I heard it in my head. Like, we know exactly what they're talking about.
Yeah. And you know what else I think? And I did it today. So when it was take your child to work day today. And so since I was working on the studio today, I let Jack spend a couple hours at home before I sent him back to school working with it. And I made him work. Don't get me. He was in. He was doing stuff. He was carrying heavy things. But we listened to the Phantom Menace soundtrack, and it was funny because he recognizes the music from what was the Disney game where you had the little figures that you literally put. It was a video game. I can't remember what it is. Somebody in the chat will remember it. You had the little action figures. They had all the different Disney things. Anyway, but he remembers the music from that.
Oh yeah, like Amiibo or something.
Yeah, well, that's the Nintendo kind of version of it.
Oh, okay, never mind.
But
I don't know.
Yeah, Disney, whatever. But he remembers the music from that. But the reality is, like, the music for Phantom Menace, honestly, may be. It's hard to put it above Empire, but it might be the best top to bottom Star Wars soundtrack that there is. I think. I mean, between Anakin's theme and the Duel of the Fates, and just sort of the march of the battle droids. That's not the name of the song, but like the music that they play when they, But there should be a song called "March of the Battle Droids." I think we should probably.
I mean, why not?
Why not? So, but yeah, I can't. I am so excited to see this. Like I said, I can't. Like I'm looking forward to it. Like I've never seen. I've never seen it before, but
and we talked about this before, and I don't know if we said it on air or not, but I haven't seen this movie in a movie theater since 1999.
Yep. Same here. 25 years, right?
Jeez. 25 years. Yeah.
And something just went weird with my video. Are you seeing a green box?
I am indeed seeing a green box. So that may be our sign that it's time to get out of here.
It's my computer saying, you know what, that is enough.
Yep, it's had enough for today.
You said too much. But at least the audio is working. So and those 3 dots are better looking than me. So Nick, next week we have Kyle Newman. We will be live together here in the studio. And
sunny New Jersey, the Sunshine State.
It's the something state for sure. So I guess that's going to do it. So make sure to get on over to thepodathon.com. Do what you can there. Be a part of what is being put together this year, and make your donation. All the money goes straight to Make-A-Wish, and it's such a great cause. So we have more guests than we can remember and name. But Nick, may the force be with you.
Always.
Just one more round, friend, then homeward bound, friend. Don't forget me in your dreams. Just one more song, friend, and then so long, friend. The nights get shorter, it seems. Just one more rhyme, friend. Yes, it's a crime, friend. But you know time, friend. Time can fly. So it's good night, friend. Good night, but not goodbye.